Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are going to do a gel antibody identification panel because we saw that we, in our previous video, had a positive antibody screen. The auto control was negative, so we did not need to do a DAT. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with the ID panel. Notice all of the gel and reagent in there looks great. There is a good seal on there. They are at room temperature. Okay, and I have these backwards. So we have cells, I put ID because it's antibody ID, 1 through 11, and then our auto control, okay? Each one of these has the AHG reagent in it already, but does not have complement. So you can see that in the label right here, does not contain antibodies to complement components, okay? All right, so we're going to move the screen to the back. Notice I put SC for screen. If you were using other parts of the cards for other things, then it's good to make sure you have that other little piece. You don't have to, but it's good for people learning, is a point that I make. Okay, so we'll put them each here. So notice I have them facing me with the label so I know which one is which. 7 to 11, and then auto, and then 1 to 6. All right, we will take the the foil off in just a minute. What I want to show you is are the reagents. So this again is different than the tube. We've seen the tube ones before where they come in that nice holder as well. These do too. And so I like to say that once they're in the holder, in order to resuspend them, reconstitute them quickly, but not by vigorously shaking, we can just keep them in the container and put them upside down and do this, right? You can also obviously charge your pipette tip, and that would help resuspend it as well every time that you're going to use the reagent. So we don't want any, shaking, very vigorous shaking. We're just doing this very nice and gently. Okay, so we can test one out. Let's look at cell number 9. Woo! Looking at the bottom there's still some red cells around the rim, or that's just a reflection. No, there's still a little bit of red cells down on the bottom. So we'll invert just a little bit more, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So I had already labeled. I have not labeled my antigram yet for the ID panel. We'll do that shortly. Okay, but we want to go ahead and get started. So I'll move this out of the way. This is for our auto control, the patient cells. We use patient cells with patient plasma, right? Right. Okay. So let's take the foil off the cards. This time we're not trying to save any of those wells for any other tests, so because we're using all of them. So I've had a student say this is very satisfying to be able to rip them all off. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do 50 microliters of all cells, whether your cell suspension is the cell source or the reagent cells are the cell source. Okay, so let's go ahead and get a new tip. So we're going to do 50 of all of them, including the auto control, the patient cells, and then we're going to add 25 of the plasma to all of the wells. Okay. This is cell 1. So in the other type of testing, the tube testing, you can knock each of them down, but these are not that way. So you could turn them if you wanted. I don't really have a suggestion of how to help yourself not make an error using visual aids. You can figure that out yourself. Notice I'm changing my tip every time. Charging the tip. Panel 4 cell. To 6. Right, 7. So some of these are really up there. So I'm just kind of helping them down a little bit. I'll put these up front so you can see. All right, we're on cell 7. Lucky number 7. Woo! All right, here we go. There's a bubble. I mean, technically you can still look at your labeled wells to see which one you're on. It's just always nice to have that double check when you're using the reagents to make sure you did the right one. So notice I'm being consistent with putting my pipette down, getting the next one ready before I turn my vision away so that I make sure I'm on the right one next and I'm not causing an error for myself to see, oh my gosh, did I just put that one in the right one, or am I gonna accidentally put the one I just used into the new well. Okay. Almost there. Okay, so cell 10. And last one. Woo! All right, now we're going to do the patient's cells. All right, so we'll move these over and we'll get a new tip. This is my 0.8 cell suspension. From the original specimen packed red cells part of the tube. Charged my tip. It's going into auto control. All right. Now time for plasma. Woohoo! All right. So for plasma, we're always doing the 25 for the liquid, right? All right, so let's bring out, so this is the plasma with the antibody, right? We used that last time. All right. Okay, so I can use the same tip as long as I don't touch. And I feel like I touched that, so as I'm saying, as long as I don't touch, and then I go ahead and touch it, it's great. All right. Second one. Third one. Fourth. We're on the fifth one. On the sixth one. Then we'll switch the cards again. So you can't really see my pipetting technique, but I am using my other hand in order to steady the pipette. All right, seventh. That was a good one. Eighth went a little crazy. Ninth. 10th. New tip. Almost made it to the end. 11th. And then the auto control. Don't forget that auto control. Very, very important. We're not expecting the auto control to be positive this time because it wasn't in the screen. Who knows if there's going to be a surprise? TV magic, right? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put these in the incubator. So I'll lift my incubator lid first. Okay, and we can just put them in the same side. Close it nicely and press play. Okay, I'll get back to you when we're closer to being done. All right, so we're ending. Here we are. Whoops, stop. All right, and we're gonna open this guy up too. All right, balancing through the rotor. Spinning for 10 minutes. All right, I'll get back to you when it's done. All right, we're about to finish the centrifugation step. All right. All right, let's see if I can do this one-handed again. Woo, there we go. And then we've got ooh. Okay, they're pretty, they're pretty straightforward. Okay, so let's take a look real quick. So in the first cell, we have a 4. Second cell, we have a 4. 3 and 4, we have a negative. 5, we have a 4. And 6, we have a negative. There is no in between. I was hoping for at least 1, 2 or something. Okay, so 4 plus 4 plus 0, 0. Notice we didn't see the hemolysis either, so I'm going to count that that wasn't really an issue in that screen. Okay, so that's what that's our first card. Second card. We've got all negatives and then a 4 plus and a negative auto. So how do we know that this is 4 plus and this is negative? I'm so glad you asked. When the antigen and antibody form a complex, they end up making a agglutination, right? So there's several RBCs next to each other, and the gel has pores in it that are very small. So if the agglutination makes the compound bigger, it's not going to easily go through the gel. And that's why positives will be up closer to the top or may spread throughout the gel, where a negative is a button down at the bottom. Okay, so let's interpret this one. We've got negative, 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 4 plus and a negative. So this is really confirming what we had in the screen where you had a negative auto control, which is great. Okay, so let's transpose that over to our antibody panel. Antigram. Okay, so in this, again, you'll notice we only have AHG. That is our only phase that we're doing. Check cells are to check if you washed the cells correctly and if you added the reagent. But we know that the reagent is already in the cards. So that's not really that big of a deal. And AHG is supposed to enhance the view of the agglutination, and that's exactly what we see happening here. Gel is more sensitive than tube is. Okay, so in cell 1, we had a 4. We also had a 4 plus in cell 2. Then we had negative, negative, 4 plus in 5. Negative in 6. Negative 7. Negative 8, 9, and 10. And then we had a 4 plus in our 11. And in the patient cells, which is the auto control, we had a negative. Okay, so let's take a look and see if this matches what we know we have. So I'm going to get a highlighter, and we're going to highlight the lines that are positive and see what antibody would match that pattern. Okay, so we had positive here. And there's no varying in reactivity, so it's very evident that we have one antibody. And it's clinically significant because it reacted at body temperature. So this is cell 5. Man, there we go. And then 11. Trying to make this nice for you. Doesn't seem to be working. All right. So we absolutely have at least 3 positives and 3 negatives as seen by the highlighted sections. Okay. So we've identified that there's one antibody. We're expecting it to be IgG, right? We didn't do immediate spin because it's gel. Then we have one level of reactivity. So again, one antibody being present. I was honestly expecting that we would see a lower reaction in number 5 because big C does show dosage, and we have little c being present at the same time in cell 5. So I was expecting to see some dosage happening there with the heterozygosness of these two. But we did not see that, which is disappointing. Okay, so let's see if C, big C, really does match. All right, so the first thing we're going to do now that we've kind of have an idea of what we're looking at, we're going to go to all of the negatives first and cross out the homozygous that are present. We do homozygous because if there is an antigen that, or an antibody to that antigen that shows dosage, then we can't really cross it out if it's heterozygous. So D doesn't have a counterpart. We can cross that out. Big E is present, but little e is not, so that's okay. Little c is present, but big C is not, so that's okay too. We keep on going. Chelano, we can get rid of KPB. JSB, this means it was not done. That's what the slash means in the antigram itself. Duffy B. Kid is heterozygous, so we're going to leave that alone. Sex-linked, Lewis B. S and S are little s are heterozygous, so are M and N. And then we have Lutheran B. Okay, so those were the ones we could cross out. Let's go to the next line. So D again, then little c is homozygous, little e is homozygous, F, V, Chelano, KPB, JSB, Duffy B, Kid is heterozygous again, sex-linked, little s, M and N are together again, P1 and Lutheran B. Now down to the next set of negatives. Big E and little e are heterozygous. We're not doing that. So, but little c is homozygous. F, Chelano, KPB, JSB. They're heterozygous again. That's crazy. So is kid. Man, we're not we're not working with kid here. Lewis A, little s, woohoo. Lutheran B. Next one. Little c is homozygous. Little e is homozygous. F. Okay, so Kel is different than all the rest because it's low frequency. Chelano is high frequency. So when we get a heterozygous here, we can cross Kel out there. All right. But we're going to leave Chelano alone. Okay, KPB, JSB, Duffy B, JKB, sex-linked, Lewis B, little s, P, Lutheran B. Next line. Little c, little e, F, Chelano, KPB, JSB, Duffy B. I feel like I'm doing a scale. Sex-link, Lewis A, S. Wow, first one for S. P1, Lutheran B. Next line. C, little E, F, Chelano, KPB, JSB, Duffy A. Man, we're having trouble with kid, huh? Trouble with your kids? All right, little s. We're not going to touch on that one. N, and then Lutheran B. Going back over, same usual suspects. Little c, little e, F, Chelano, KPB, JSB, Kid A for the first time. Woot woot. Sex-linked, Lewis B, big S again, yay. M, woo. All right, P1 and Lutheran B. All right, the rest of them are in a positive line. So if we crossed out 2, then we can say we don't have that guy. E was not one of them, but there was only one. No, there were 2. Little c, absolutely. Little e, yes. F. V. Oh, well, V, the only one that was positive was in a negative line, so we're going to get rid of that one. Kel, I guess we can. I'm just going to leave that alone for a second. Chelano, KPB. KPA was never in there, so we're going to cross that out. And same with JSA. JSB, Duffy B. Sex-link. Lewis A, Lewis B, S, little s, N was only once, P, Lutheran A wasn't even there. It's very low incidence, and Lutheran B is very high incidence. Okay, so the only ones that we can't definitively rule out would be big C, so big C, big E, CW, Kel. We could get another cell for that if we want to. Kid, both of them, because there's only one, and kid can go below detectable limits over time, so we're going to leave that alone. Sex-link, Lewis. Oh, sorry. We're saying which ones we couldn't rule out. Big C, big E, CW, Kel, Duffy A, the kids, M, and N. So what we can do after this next step is get extra cells in order to prove that these other ones are not it. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. But matching the pattern, let's see if any cell actually matches the pattern. So we want positivity in 1 and 2, 5, and 11. Okay, so far none of these are matching. They might have a positive in that spot, but so this might be helpful. Okay, so there's positive in more areas than the places or the lines that were positive. Here we didn't have anything there. This doesn't match. N doesn't match. Neither does M, because you have positivity in the negative ones. S doesn't match either for the same reason. And Lewis's, same thing. Okay, the only positive of Lewis A was here, and that was in the 8th line, which was negative, the 8th cell. Sex length doesn't match. Kid and kid, so the kids don't match. Duffy's don't match either. And we see there's really only one, so we're not expecting to see a varying range of reactivity. So all of these are not matching so far. KPA wasn't even there. Cholano's and everything. Kel is in a negative one and also a positive one. So that's a little whoa, right? The only positive here for V was in a negative line. CW had a positive in one of the positives, so that could add to the strength. Let's see, where were we? F doesn't match. Little e doesn't match. Little c doesn't match. Big E is only positive in negative lines, so definitely not big E. Oh, wait. Come on, pen. Okay. And then D, there were positives and negative lines here. But they are positive in there as well. So we had 3 positives and 3 negatives. Okay. So for C, we knew it was C because you saw me add it in the other video. But it absolutely is big C. So well done. Anti-C is our antibody. However, in order to make sure that we are definitely dotting our I's and crossing our T's, we can get extra cells that are negative for the big C antigen and are helping us meet the rule of 3 for these other ones that we could not rule out. So with the E, the big E, we could get 2 that are positive for big E and not for big C, and that will help us meet our rule of 3 there. 2 that are positive for CW, 2 that are positive for Kel. So we have positives and negatives met here with the kids. It's just that we could not mark them out completely because the heterozygous parts here. So I'm not really going to say that, I'm going to say that these guys really aren't it. But they can go down in really low concentrations below detectability if the patient's body wasn't challenged with an antigen in a while. Sex linked, we already got rid of. So M, we had 3 positives and 3 negatives. So wait, 1. So we would need 1 for S, that's negative for S. And that looks like that's it. So we could find those cells, and we could write down at the bottom what the donor's RH designation is, their donor number. So here. And then we would be doing the transposing of the presence or absence of that antigen in this part down here, so that we could do testing and record the result over here and meet our rules of 3. Okay, so thank you all so much. I hope you really enjoyed that video and got a lot out of it. You can freeze screen if you need to go and do it yourself, because this is kind of, I guess, a better view than what you saw earlier. And if you felt this was helpful and you liked this, please hit the like button and subscribe, and set your notifications to get a little ring every time I add a new video. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time.